there, empowered peeps. I'm Ryan to the rescue. And today I'm going to show you lots of ideas about holiday hosting and gifts. But first, let's talk about this super cute shirt that I'm wearing. One of my friends gave it to me and I love it. Thank you, Jessica. So all of the ideas that I'm sharing with you today are nature inspired. So we'll be using cinnamon and rosemary and twine. I love all of the natural things. So first we're gonna need lots of rosemary. Let's get snipping. I got this rosemary bush several years ago and it was a little tiny potted plant. It was so cute, like in the shape of a Christmas tree. So I bought it because I just couldn't resist it. I used it for inside decoration for that holiday season. And then after the season, I planted it right here and it's been growing and thriving ever since. So if you don't have a rosemary bush yet, I highly recommend you getting one because it's so great for decorating and cooking and all of the things. So we're going to gather lots of rosemary for the projects that we're going to be working on today. First, I'm going to show you two really cute ways that you can fancy up your napkins when it comes to hosting a Christmas or Thanksgiving gathering or any other holiday that you're celebrating. I'm going to be using these that have snowflakes on one side, but the snowflakes are not what I want to be seeing for this particular thing. So I'm going to tuck the snowflakes on the inside, fold it over like that. So both of these sides are going to be tucked in the middle, and then I'm going to tuck this in the middle and then roll it up from here. So none of the edges show at all. Now I'm going to take about 15 inches of this pretty ribbon and then tie it around my napkin toward the bottom. And I'm not going to tie it in a bow, just in a knot. Then I'm going to give the edges a little trim to make sure they look really pretty and get my diagonal going just the way I want it. Then to make sure your ribbon stays really pretty and doesn't get frayed on the edges, you can burn the edges just a smidge with fire, but don't set your napkins on fire. There we go. You just have to run it over just a tiny bit and it'll melt those edges and then they won't fray. Then, super simple, just put a little puff of cotton in. Now you have a beautiful napkin for your next dinner party. All right, let's do another napkin idea. Now I'm going to cut 10 inches of this pretty ribbon. Then I printed up on this brown paper the word gratitude. And you can use whatever word you like if you want to put give thanks or Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, or you can put people's names on here too. This piece of paper is 3 inches by 3/4 of an inch with a hole punch in each side. Now because my ribbon is pretty on one side and it's just plain on the other side, I'm gonna put the plain side down, all right? So the plain side goes around the back of the napkin. Then I'm going to feed it through the holes. Then I want my paper to curve over my napkin, but not wrap all the way around it. Now with this ribbon, I want it to have a little V on the end. So I'm gonna fold the ribbon in half and cut the V from the outside in. That way it'll be even. There you have it. Two super cute napkin ideas for whatever holiday party you are hosting. All right, now I'm gonna show you some super cute gifts that you can make for party favors or teachers or whatever. First, get some towels. I got these at the dollar store. And then get some muslin and tear it into 3-inch strips. If you tear it, then you'll get a straight line and you get this little jaggedy edge, which is really nice. And then cut it off into about 16 inches. Then I fold all 3 sides of my towel in and then roll it from the remaining side. That way, all 4 sides of the towel are tucked inside. Then, before you finish wrapping it up, put the muslin around it. And then tuck the muslin in both sides. Then when you wrap it up, it looks pretty no matter which way you look at it. Then you'll want to get a sprig of rosemary and a stick of cinnamon. I like to do my rosemary slightly taller than the towel, and then my stick of cinnamon, crisscross it, and put it slightly shorter than the towel, like this. Then I take some jute cord, and it looks really cute if you wrap it around several times. There you go. Now you have an adorable gift that only costs a couple of dollars. So even if you have a ton of friends or a ton of teachers, it won't break the bank. Okay, let's fancy up these candles. I got these LED pillar candles at Walmart, and it was $3 for the little one, $4 for the medium-sized one, and $5 for the big one. I thought that was a really good deal. They do require 3 AAA batteries though. Look, when they turn on, they're so pretty. And it even flickers and glows like a candle. Pretty lovely, right? Well, we're gonna make it even more beautiful. So what we're gonna do is we're going to wrap it all the way around with cinnamon sticks. And I need to cut the cinnamon, so I'll be using this cutter that works the best. And I don't want the cinnamon to be exactly the same height. First of all, it's nearly impossible to get it the same height. So why don't we just begin with the end in mind? It's gonna be perfectly imperfect at the top. I don't really want them to be shorter than the candle. So they're gonna be the same height of the candle or a little bit taller like this one. So let me cut a whole bunch and then we'll wrap it around. All right, now I'm gonna put a rubber band around the candle and we'll see how many more cinnamon sticks we still need to cut. I used cinnamon sticks that were relatively straight. The ones that were really, really crooked, I decided to set aside because they're not gonna be the best for this project. The crooked cinnamon sticks will be great for other projects. Okay, it's coming along nicely. We still have a few more to go. Okay, that is looking pretty good. In my case, it took 24 cinnamon sticks to wrap around here, and we're still gonna decorate it some more. And my hands smell amazing. All right, next we're gonna take some leather lacing and wrap it around the candle several times. And you can get leather lacing at any craft store or online. All right, I wrapped my leather around there 6 times and then tied it in a knot. And my cinnamon sticks keep on trying to get twisty on me, so I'm going to put some hot glue in a few places to hold them straight and still. Okay, now that rubber band that I had holding everything in place can go. So I'm just gonna snip that. And now for the last touch, I'm going to use these pretty little picks that I got, and you can buy these at a craft store or online as well. And on these particular ones, they have the pine cones facing one side and then red berries facing the other side. So I want the best of both worlds. So I'm gonna put them together like this. And that way I have both showing. And I'm also gonna put them on my candle the opposite of the tie because I like the look of the tie and I'm gonna like the look of this as well. And I'm gonna use a little bit of hot glue to hold it in place. And there you have it, a beautiful little woodland candle creation that only cost about $7 to make. Now, by putting the little pine picks on one side and the knot on the other side, I think it looks really pretty both ways. So that means this can go on a table and it looks great no matter which way you're looking at it. All right, let's fancy up another candle. This is gonna be the same concept as the cinnamon one that we just did, but this is gonna be even easier and perhaps even more pretty. One really cool thing about this one is there's gonna be no cutting required, like we had to cut the cinnamon. This time, these sticks, look, they're the same height as the candle. So I got the candle at Walmart, I got the sticks at Hobby Lobby, and I got this at Hobby Lobby too. First, let's put on a rubber band. And then we're just going to put sticks around and around until we get it all done. It's perfectly fine that the sticks don't lie one next to another because that lets the light shine through. All right, now I'm going to use a wire cutter to cut all of these off. Okay, remember those muslin strips that we used on one of our previous projects? So we're going to use that again on this project. Remember that it's 3 inches wide and we tore the muslin so we get this nice frayed edge. So I'm going to wrap it around and glue it in place, roughly in the center of the sticks. And now that I have this in place, it's time to cut off the rubber bands. So now I'm sealing down the last edges of the muslin strip. Now we're going to take the picks that we cut apart and bend it about in the shape of the candle, and then put some glue on it and glue it right onto the muslin. Then we're going to continue doing that, moving backwards around the candle. So each time I put on another piece, I'm going to cover up the stem from the last piece. Then when it comes time to put your last piece down, tuck the stem of that one underneath the first piece that you started with. That way you're covering this stem and this stem at the same time. Then I have a few additional pieces of the pick that I'll just stick in here and there. All right, in total transparency, there's a few places where my hot glue shows. So I have one last little piece that will save me from all my hot glue showing. What I'm going to do is cut apart each one of these little leaves, like so, and then I can just use that very strategically to cover up a little ugly hot glue spot. All right, that worked beautifully. I'm very excited about how this turned out. Not only is this a pretty gift, but it would also be a really fun craft project for a group of ladies to put together. Okay, now we're going to make the cutest little place markers ever. It's going to look like little trees. So, whether you drink wine or not, there's a good chance you can get your hands on some wine corks. So, you'll need one for each of your party guests. And then if you have a rosemary bush, you may know that often it grows tall in just one sprig like this. But sometimes it grows and it sprouts off into many different branches. And those are the ones that we're going to look for this particular project because it really gives that tree look. Let me give you a little pro tip about working with rosemary. If you're making something where the rosemary needs to be standing upright, then make sure it has a good drink of water and then just put it in its upright position right before your party. Because if it gets thirsty, it can start to wilt over and then that doesn't look so pretty. But if you're using the rosemary in a project in a laying down position, it'll be totally fine to prepare ahead of time. Okay, so I already have my family's names pre-printed on a piece of brown paper. My little tags are 1 inch by 2.5 inches. And then I punched a little hole here in the side. Now you're going to need some of this narrow twine and cut it off about 6 inches long. Then go ahead and tie it into the tag. So lace it through. I like the way the knot looks if you tie it like this. Put both ends together and then tie the knot with both of the ends at the same time. So it'll look like this. All right, we're gonna make a hole in these corks, but before we do, let's go ahead and put them down on the table and decide which way they stand up better. So go ahead and make that decision first. Then I'm gonna take a screwdriver and make a hole in the top of the cork. Now you have your tags already tied with the twine. Then take your little rosemary tree. If you don't have a rosemary bush, then you can buy some artificial greenery and you can still do this project, or you can find another tree that looks good in your yard or in your neighborhood and you can use a branch of that. And there we have it. Seriously adorable, right? All right, now for our last little gift that I want to share with you today. All we'll need is rosemary, of course, salt, some cute little jars with a spoon, and we'll need an herb cutter, a bowl, a cutting board, a funnel, and a spoon. Now I've already washed and dried all of this rosemary, and now I'm going to pick off just the green parts. I'm not going to use any parts of the stem or branch. Now, once we get finished with this rosemary salt is going to be so delicious in your cooking, and if you make some baked potatoes or something like that, oh my goodness, it'll be so good in your savory baked dishes. You can even just have it on the table and it can be your table salt. And it's really, really pretty. Don't you love it when functional stuff is beautiful too? All right, I'm sure that's more than we'll need. Now I'm gonna cut it up with an herb cutter. Maybe you have one of these, maybe you don't. A knife will certainly work. So with the herb cutter, you just cut it in a crisscrossy sort of way until you get the herbs the size that you want them. I think I'm gonna leave my rosemary in kind of big chunky pieces because then it'll look so pretty blended with the salt. I bought these containers from Hobby Lobby and they were only $3. So you've got the nice little cork lid and the spoon. OMG, that's adorable. So since I have 4 of these, I'm going to measure out my salt by pouring it in here. So I'll need about this much and the rest will be rosemary. So I'm gonna measure out 4 of these. That way I don't mix up too much rosemary salt. You could also do this with pink Himalayan salt. That'd be pretty as well. All right, that's 4 times. Now let's mix up our rosemary. How much you use is really just a matter of taste, or in this case, kind of a matter of look. All right, I think that ratio of rosemary to salt looks pretty good. Now I'm going to use a funnel to put it in each pretty jar. All right, the rosemary salt turned out beautiful. Now we're going to put the lovely little tags on that I promised you. I made this as a PDF and I'm gonna have it downloadable for you to use too. I made these specifically the size and spacing to use with this tag cutter. But if you don't have this tag cutter, that's perfectly fine. Just grab some scissors, cut around this circle, hole punch it, and you can use it as a tag as is. Just print it up on cardstock and you're good to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this in 2 3/4 inch strips using a paper cutter. Then I'm going to line this up in my tag hole punch. And voila, I have the cutest little rosemary salt tag ever. Another option is if you don't have the tag cutter, you can use a little shot glass to line it up, trace around it. Perfection is not the goal. Homespun gifts are perfectly imperfect. Now we need a hole punch. I'm going to use one with a regular sized hole. And I'm going to line it up at the top of this tag. There we go. And then I'm also going to use the round ones that I cut out as well. Got it. All All right, I'm gonna be using the small twine. And first I'm gonna take the spoon out and then wrap the twine around 3 times, just because it's cute, that's all. And then cut it off. All right, after you wrap the twine around 3 times, put both of the ends together and put them through the tag and cinch it all the way up. Now we're going to tie it. By doing it this way, we can get the tag to lay down flat. So I'm gonna tie the bow, just like you'd normally tie a bow. Of course, I'm gonna try to get it to lay pretty. We'll see how that works out. Let me put the spoon back in, and it's finished. There you have it. These are fun and easy to make, and I bet my friends will love them. And I bet your friends will love them too. On a personal note, I want to share with you a way that I used this very gift to bless a friend of mine recently. She is a fellow widow, and she had me over to her house to memorialize a specific milestone that she accomplished in her grief journey. So I showed up at her house and I brought her rosemary salt. I felt like that was really sweet symbolism, tying back to a verse in the Bible that talks about God stores up all of our tears in a jar, and tears are salty, and so it made me think about our salty tears in a jar. And there's also verses that talk about God using all things in our life for good, even the bad stuff. And there's also a verse about Him turning ashes into beauty. So with all of those verses kind of paraphrased and jumbled together, made me think about our salty tears in a jar, and even our grief and sadness can turn into something beautiful and savory when we put it into the hands of the Lord. Okay, we've covered lots of pretty ideas today, and I hope you're able to implement these things that we went over today in your holiday hosting, decorating, and gift giving this season. I've had so much fun sharing all of these ideas with you, and I hope you had fun learning them. Also, when you make these things, please take a picture and post it on Instagram and tag me at Ryan to the Rescue, because I would love to see how your gifts and how your holiday hosting turned out and how your friends enjoyed them too. So now we're ready for our holiday hosting, decorating, and gift giving. We can do it.